What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? We got a great show today. We got a great show going on today. This is kind of what I wanted to do with this platform. I wanted to get education out to you parents that are listening in. I wanted to get some schools from all walks of life. I've been hitting the Northeast. I've been hitting the down South. I've been hitting the West Coast with USC. Now we hitting the Southwest. You can't get no bigger, right? Hook 'em horns, right? We got my boy, Coach Sean Allen here, assistant coach with University of Texas, the hitting guy, and also the recruiting coordinator. We had some great talks in the back, and there's no doubt about it that this is going to be a great conversation. We kind of been talking a lot behind the scenes, man, and we're going to get it going, man. I want to say what's up to Derek, what's up to Ken the Camp, what's up, Ken, and the people that are going to be joining on real shortly. Ken, I'm sure, Coach, is going to be a lot of people coming on today. So anyway, without further ado, I want to introduce. Let me talk a little bit how this happened. I want to say shout out to my boy Vinny. All right, my longtime friend Vinny. I've known Vinny for over 20-some, close to 20 years, and he loves his Texas. And I said, listen, I need you to put me on to a coach over the University of Texas. Hook me up, and he made it happen. So I want to say shout out to my boy Vinny over here, who put Coach Allen in contact with me, and I'll make sure I give him your love, man. But anyway, without further ado, what's up, Brian? What's up, bro? What's going on, big dog in Massachusetts? We got Arkansas in the house, Memphis. We got Vegas in the house. So I want to make sure that Coach Allen, if you could, please kind of give a little background of your playing days, where you're from, your playing days leading up to where you at now as a recruiting coordinator and assistant coach over the University of Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, just thanks for having me on, D, and definitely shout out to Vinny. He takes care of all you ex-big leaguers, and he definitely loves his Texas Longhorns. So he's passionate about that. But I'm originally from New Mexico. Went to school there down the southeast in Carlsbad. Kind of grew up in a small town, but baseball was big there. And, really, this is definitely recruiting and talking about being at the right place at the right time. Typically, New Mexico will put out, 5 to 8 Division I baseball players a year in the entire state, which is, obviously a small number. My senior year, the class that I grew up with, not just in my hometown, but the summer league program that I played with, we ended up having over 25 guys go to Division I schools and or sign pro. So, kind of in the right spot because I was the one guy that was recruitable at my high school at that level. We had some younger guys that were really good players, but played with a summer league team out of Albuquerque, the Albuquerque Cubs that, we were good. Honestly, one of the better teams in the country at that time. And obviously it wasn't as washed down as it is now, but we had quite a few guys. We had 4 guys sign pro out of high school off that one team, couple second rounders, a sandwich pick, so a lot of recruiting coordinators and coaches were coming in to see this team just because the word was spreading that we're talented. And that's kind of where, I ended up signing at the University of Houston. Honestly, had no idea anything about them until my junior year. They sent me a media guide, saw it, was like, dang, this place is pretty sweet. My dad remembered Phi Slamma Jamma, and that's about all we knew about it. Obviously this is way different than nowadays, but I went on an official visit. It was me, a 6'11" right-handed pitcher, junior college kid from California, and then a guy that ended up signing in the second round, Jason Worth was on the recruiting visit with me. So I get off the airplane and we got a 6'6" kid and a 6'11". I'm 5'9". I'm just going, all right, I'm not sure I can do this, but it ended up working out. Signed there, had 4 good years, ended up playing on 3 really good teams. Our junior year, we're the number 4, number 5 national seed, went into a super regional, got beat, which is probably honestly the biggest upset in NCAA and baseball history because we were the national 4 seed, 5 seed, and it was a regional 4 seed San Jose State that beat us to end up going to Omaha. But it was a fun 4 years. So after the University of Houston, the last game I played in, blew out my knee, didn't play pro ball, tore it up pretty good. And so I was able to finish school my 5th year and really got lucky when it comes to jobs, because during the course of the year after my 5th year, I went to Texas A&M University as the volunteer assistant. That fall, that one of the assistants at University of Houston left and went to Rice University, who's actually David Pierce, my current boss now at University of Texas. When he left that fall, the head coach at the time, Rainer Noble, hired me full time as a 22-year-old, young guy just out of college. He trusted me, knew what I was going to get out of me, and I got in the coaching ranks at 22 years old in a full-time job at a major Division I program. So got extremely lucky. This will be my 17th year of college coaching at the Division I level. I was at Houston 5 years, went to Florida International for 4 years, helped with Turtle Thomas, who's been at Arizona State, Miami, LSU, won several national championships with those places, learned a lot from him. From there, David Pierce, who I played for a year, worked with as a student assistant. He got the head coaching job at Sam Houston State from Rice University, and been with him ever since. So we bounced around from Sam Houston 3 years, Tulane 2 years, and now at University of Texas for 3 years. So that's kind of the quick version, long version of how I've bounced around a little bit.
Awesome, man. So I got a few more people joining up. What's up, Keenan? What's up, Bubba? What's up, Chris? What's up, Coach Curtis? We got Memphis to Arkansas to Alabama in the house, and more people will be coming on as we cut. So I'm just going to ask again, parents that are coming on, listening in, please ask your questions. You know how the routine goes. I'm gonna go deep in and ask my little questions. We've been kind of going deep behind the scenes. I want to make sure that I get back on our conversation, because it was very interesting. And also, if you feel like somebody that tag 1 or 2 people that that may benefit from listening in to Coach Allen over here from University of Texas. All right. So anyway, Coach, how early, especially like you guys being a huge school and a national brand across the country, how early are you guys recruiting kids, at your school right now?
It definitely goes in cycles, but we're definitely taking a look at 2022s now. We don't have any committed. We've offered a couple right now so far. So it's definitely, freshmen. That's kind of where the industry is now. I'd say the top 30, 40 schools are definitely, recruiting freshmen. I've heard some places offering some 8th graders. We're not real crazy about it, to be honest with you, but at the end of the day, that's where our industry's kind of taking it. There's definitely a possibility that a lot of that is going to change here relatively soon. It could really change a lot if they get some of the rules that a lot of the coaches are advocating to get passed. If that happens, it's going to just put a halt on the young recruiting, which I think is the best thing for the kid and the parents and for the universities as a whole. But we'll kind of see how it goes. But, I would say the meat of it, we're sophomores, is kind of where we're really making decisions, really trying to learn about the freshmen. If there's a real high-end profile guy, then we'll go ahead and make that offer. And once we know we're ready to do that. But we probably move a little slower than a lot of universities. One, academically, we have to make sure it fits. And two, and we'll talk about this, but, we have 11.7. That's what we have. There's what the coaching industry kind of talks about, funny money. There's a lot of places that they can stretch that 11.7 into being 14, 15, 16 scholarships. Some places even upwards over 20. University of Texas, we have 11.7. So we've got to recruit to the need of the team and what we have available for that recruiting class. So I do have us projected out through the spring of 2022. It's kind of funny. We did it the other day, but guys that we just signed this fall when I was going through my depth charts, those kids haven't even showed up on campus yet, and I already have them off because they've either graduated or signed pro with my projections, so to speak, on who to sign in 2022. So that's kind of how we have to do it. We've got to really project. A lot of places, honestly, they just go start signing guys they're going to sign good players versus putting a team together, where we've got to really make sure we've got to put the right team together versus just go sign a bunch of good players.
All right, so I'm gonna dig a little deeper. So help me understand what you said. So you said the people that you just signed, you said your projections are they're gonna get drafted, or what? Like, explain that a little bit deeper.
Every year we will project, okay, now the spring of 2019, we'll project what our depth chart looks like. So the spring of 20 or the 2020 recruits, the guys that graduate in 2020, we'll sign those guys based on the need of who's leaving the 19 team. Well, we project that out 4 or 5 years down the road. So in the spring, when we're playing the spring of 22, the spring of 21, the guys that we just signed, the 19 kids, a lot of those guys will be off the team when we sign the 22. So we're just projecting 4 or 5 years down the road. And it's just crazy how a kid's not even on campus yet, and you're already projecting him to be out of your program, which, you don't even know if he's going to show up. So it's just a crazy projection. I know when I got recruited, there was official visits of your senior year. A lot of guys took 3, 4, 5 of them. I took 2. And that's when you made your decision.
Right.
It gave schools, like the coach that signed me saw me play sophomore year state championships all the way after my sophomore year that summer, the junior spring, junior summer, before he ever offered me. So the universities really knew what they were going to get in a player. Nowadays, I might see a kid throw 2 innings. I might see a kid play 2 games, and you better offer him and start moving, because that's just how fast the process is happening right now.
Wow. So let's dig a little deeper then. So you're saying those other schools that can offer 20 plus and all of that. So it's the private versus the public. So help me understand that why they're able to offer way more kids, and you got to kind of be more selective on your 11.7 scholarships.
There's really 2 different things here. You have a lot of state schools that have lottery incentives that pay for a lot of the tuition at a lot of places. Florida has it. So when I was at FIU, you have what's called Bright Futures. If a kid made a certain GPA and a certain test score, the Florida State Lottery would pay for some of their education every year. So if you had 75% Bright Futures, and then you had 100% Bright Futures. So for the most part, every kid we recruited received 75% Bright Futures, which was worth about 25% scholarship from a baseball standpoint. So we could give kids the rest of his tuition and a little bit towards their dorm, and it would cost the baseball program 25%. If we give a kid at University of Texas tuition, books, and fees, which is the same scholarship, in-state, both kids are in-state at their respective schools, it costs us double that amount of money. So they're just able to stretch their money. So Arkansas has a lot of different ways to stretch their money. LSU, some of the bigger schools I'm just throwing out there, Arkansas can do it, LSU can do it with in-state kids. Most of the kids at places like LSU, Arkansas, they're coming around 25% on the baseball books, but because they're receiving money from somewhere else, not just the baseball program, it is very feasible for that family to go to school. A lot of those places, a kid will pay a couple $1,000 to go to school per year when it only costs the university 25%. So that's where those types of schools can really stretch their dollar. The private institutions have what's called need-based financial aid. It's not just in athletics, it's every student that goes to that university. It allows them to make it more affordable. When we were at Tulane University, tuition, the whole enchilada there was pushing $70,000 a year. So in order for families to afford it, universities come up with need-based financial aid. If you can get into those types of universities and your family income is below a certain amount of money, then they receive what's called need-based financial aid. So that's where you start seeing people be able to really stretch the dollars. In-state here, Rice University, new coaching staff there, know all three of their assistants really, really well, really good friends with them, but they can get kids where that family doesn't pay a dime to go to Rice University if their family income is less than $125,000. So they can get 4 or 5 of those guys per year. So let's say they get 4 or 5 of those guys, then they can go out and offer their 11.7. So it just allows them to spend more money. Now you can still only have 35 on a roster and 27 guys on scholarship, but now with those private institutions, for the most part, you're never going to get to 27 guys on aid. You're going to get to 22 because it is so expensive. You got to give a higher percentage to the ones you're giving money than the other ones are filled in by need-based financial aid. But if you really look every single year, the universities that are signing really big classes every single year, it's typically the private universities, just because they're able to stretch their money a little further.
I was wondering, yeah, because some of these guys are signing 25, 30 kids. It's kind of crazy. Well, offering, and I was wondering how that goes. So I know you're a hitting guy, coach. So I wanted to kind of dig a little deeper into, most of the times we get the coaches on, we talk, we don't really talk, a broad view of positions and what they look for and all of that. Deep in depth and talking as far as like, I want to talk a little bit about mechanics as far like, small, like what are you looking for in a recruit? And is there a certain, what's the University of Texas hitting approach? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to answer, to be honest with you, because we're a program from hitting to pitching, no matter what it is, it's all individual based. We're going to teach that individual what works best for that kid. If you had to ask us, what's our approach, it's going to be to score in multiple ways. We play at a bigger field. We play on turf that's kind of slow. We've got to pitch and play defense. Texas has always pitched and played defense. We have to be athletic across the field. 1 through 9, we have to be athletic. Not to say we don't have some donkeys, so to speak, in there that, can hit it over the fence, but you have to be able to do multiple things at Texas, just because the dimensions of the field and how it plays. We can't just have a hitter play first base. He better be able to defend over there, be able to, have to score from second base on base hits, go first to third on hits, score from first and balls in the gaps, stuff like that. Just because if we at FIU, we could have 7 donkeys in there because it played small and you could really score. At Texas, it just doesn't work. So we try to be athletic. We got to have guys that have multiple skill sets. Playing in the Big 12 and the schedule that we play. I think last year, one of the publications, whether it's Baseball America or D1 Baseball, they came out with its top 50 starting pitchers in the country. Okay, and it's all projections and all that, but we faced in a 13-week season, I think we faced 14 or 15 arms that were on that list. So you're facing multiple guys a weekend that are big-time prospects, that are good pitchers. So you're not just going to beat those guys up by having a great, just by having a bunch of great hitters. You got to do it in multiple ways. Number one, you got to prevent their offense to scoring a bunch, because you're probably not going to beat that guy up. That's where the defensive side comes into play. Offensively, we got to be able to, really understand. At the end of the day, we got to separate balls from strikes. Really good college pitchers can get outs out of the strike zone. The really good ones get outs in the strike zone like pro guys do. To beat a college pitcher, if you can stay in the strike zone, for the most part, you got a chance to beat that guy and at least get him out of the game to get to a bullpen. It's kind of crazy how it's evolved, just like the Major League Baseball, where a lot of GMs are building their teams backwards from the bullpen back to the starters. College baseball's kind of gone the same way, to where you see some legit arms on the back end of the game
Wow.
college baseball now. So in order to beat those types of arms, we've got to be able to do multiple guys. You can't just be a power guy. You can't just be a one-dimensional player at this level. You've got to be able to run, drag, push, hit the 3-run home run at times. Power's coming back in the college game. We had a guy that was the best player in the country last year. He hit, I think, 22 home runs last year. Almost won the Golden Spikes. Was up for that, so you've got to have superstars in the middle of your lineup. And he was a guy that could take the base hit to left field and then also drive the ball out of the park. So that's kind of what you're looking for. We'd love at the end of the day to have a guy that's a 6'8" runner, be able to hit 8 to 10 home runs, and really understand the strike zone. That's the type of guy that we want, versus a lot of places are able to take that 3, 4, 5, 6 hole guy. We played Tennessee Tech last year, so to speak, in the Super Regional. One of the best hitting teams I've ever seen at the college level since I've been doing this. They didn't strike out. They had great approaches, but it was a big physical team that if they hit the home run, they're going to beat you. If they didn't hit the home run, then you had a chance to really pitch to them. And that was kind of the difference at the end of the day with our Super Regional matchup.
I want to know, like, I've had this conversation with I'm older than you, but I came up in the when college guys are putting up stupid numbers. You know what I'm saying?
And all the rest of it.
Yeah. So when did that kind of transition and the change? I've heard the arbitrary number, but you might have been through it. I think because it's roughly around the time, when you were
freshman year we used -5s. That was when Bergman the year before, in 96 hit 40 plus.
Right.
Crosby, I can't remember Crosby's first name. Played at Rice. He was a big leaguer, first round pick. Bubba Crosby, I believe.
Bubba Crosby, yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that was the infielder that played at Oakland. It's another Crosby, but go ahead. I know you're talking.
So, those guys were hitting 40 plus. The guys at LSU in 97, I think they hit 186 or something as a team. Well, then in the spring of 99, they went to -3s, but it was still the old, alloy. The exit velocities were still really good. So once guys got used to going from -5s to you're used to, when you grew up, it was the -5s, and it was, balls are probably leaving close to 130 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Probably 125, where now guys are, if you're getting close to 110, it's really hit, with the new bats that we use now. So I think that it's been a really good balance. So they've gone from the -5s, late 1990s to the -3s. And then I guess it's been 10 years ago. I don't know the exact date, but they changed the exit velocity trying to make it safer. When they did that, I think the year they did it, Texas went from like 70-something home runs to 16 the next year. 16.
Wow.
1-6. And so it completely changed the game of college baseball. And honestly, it was boring. It was terrible. Coaches finally, I think about 3 years after that, they're like, all right, how can we fix this? And what they did is they lowered the seams on the baseballs, and now there's a really happy medium. Teams are hitting, an average power team's probably going to hit 40 to 50 homers a year. We hit 60-ish, 66 or so last year with a guy that hit 22. So you can, you got power, you can hit it out, but it's a little more like a wooden bat. You got to get it to. There's no cheap home runs anymore, but if you make a mistake, guys can do damage with it.
What's a very solid college, numbers wise? What's a great, solid season numbers wise? Guy that plays every day.
It's hard because if you hit over 300, I would say. It's just hard because like different places they play so different. Go to Texas Tech. You look at their offensive numbers, and they hit a lot of home runs. They hit 330 as a team. They got guys pushing 400. They play on turf. I'm from out there. The ball flies. If Cody Clemens would have played at Texas Tech last year, he would have hit 30 home runs. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
We play at one of the biggest parks in in the country. And when we got the job, we moved the fences in, and it still plays really big, you know. So different places, it's going to obviously change that, just like in any professional baseball, no matter, you know, certain places are hitters parks, certain places are pitchers. But, you know, I think if you're pushing, you know, 330, double digit home runs, I think the biggest thing for us that we talk about is being run producers. We have a 40-40 club, 40 runs scored, 40 RBIs. Last year we had three of those guys. And that's not an easy thing to do. We've got a big leaguer, Ryan O'Hearn, who played for us at Sam Houston State. His junior year, we had two 40-40 guys. One, our catcher, was an All-American, and then him, you know, and he hit 280-ish, but had 55 RBIs and scored 50 runs. So for us, it's about producing runs versus just looking at, you know, the fan-friendly numbers.
I tell my kids all the time. I said, name the game is run scored and RBIs. I said, you all those guys, the highest average, but you ain't producing nothing. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's always nice to have the average, but if you getting hit to nobody on and you ain't scoring, you know. So, but yeah, that's kind of the pro way of thinking, you know. So, anyway, anyway, if you can, I guess I'll finish with this. I got a couple questions from the parents here, and I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to finish up with my little, you know, couple questions that I want to kind of finish up with here. So I got Manuel. Manuel's he's a Texas guy too. How important is it to attend college camps as a high school student?
I think it's big. Here's the thing, and this isn't to knock any of the showcase environments out there. There's all kinds of, you know, ways that people are making money. If I'm a parent that has a recruitable kid at that age and they're going through it, if you're going to go spend $500 at an event, okay, that says there's going to be college coaches there, may or may not be the universities that are the right fit for that your son, whether it's his dream school or the right fit, then go spend $100 and go to that, you know, pick out 3 or 4. Now you go spend $300 or $400 at those universities. You have nowadays with the current rules of you can't get freshmen and sophomores on campus. To me, the camps are that much more important. But you know, the perfect game events, the PBRs, I'm not saying don't do, that's not what I'm saying, because a lot of those events are good, but you don't know who's going to show up when it comes to a college environment. If it's to initially get their name out there and get in their publications and all that, yeah, do it. It's good. I look at those names and rankings and databases almost daily. But our camps, every place we've been at as a staff, we've signed kids out of showcase camps. Not this past August, but the August before, we had a showcase camp. We had 7 arms that were Power 5 type arms. We knew it coming in. We ended up taking one. We just weren't quite ready with the other ones. Mm-hmm. And within a week later, we had, out of those 7, 5 of them went, 2 of them to SEC schools, and the rest of them went into the Big 12, you know. So we have good clientele coming to our camps, but it's a really good way to do it. One of the biggest things we like from a pitching standpoint is we're able to use analytics that we use daily with our arms to kind of compare. Hey, for the most part for us, if it's a right-handed pitcher, they're going to pitch 89 to 93 out of high school, spin a breaking ball. What separates you? You know, is it makeup? Is it academics? What's the difference? We like to set our staff up versus just signing the best pitcher. Is it a different look? Is he a fastball changeup guy? Fastball slider, sinker slider? You know, we want a different mix versus just a bunch of power arm, you know, right-handers. We've got 5 freshmen that showed up on campus. It's probably, you know, arguably the most talented group of right-handed pitchers to ever be at Texas, which is hard to say because they've had unbelievable pitchers come through there. But the people that have been there longer than we have said that, like, they're all 90, 94. One guy's up to 99, and, you know, incoming freshmen, but they're all different. You know, a couple of them are straight over top fastball changeup guys. One's 6'9", kind of across his body, he's a crossfire. They're just different looks. So at the end of the day, our staff's going to be put together. And if I'm running around looking at 2 innings in a showcase environment away from campus, it's hard for us to figure all that out. You come to a camp, we get to meet you, we get to understand you, and really just concentrate on that individual at that one point in time. Position player wise, you know, we get to see if you can make some adjustments. You know, you might be a guy that, hey, let's tweak this a little bit. You have a conversation with him. How fast do they make adjustments? So I think that college camps are enormously important for kids to go to, especially this day and age with how early things are happening, plus the recruiting rules of us college coaches being able to get guys on campus. Some of it is a money-making thing, I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, we sign 1 to 3 to 4 guys out of our camps every single year.
So let me ask you this. So if I'm a parent and somebody's offering per player 500 or 600 for one particular, with multiple schools supposed to be there, or, you know, you said you would rather go split that up and just take the one day, like choose 3 to 4 to 5 schools that you know that you could kind of play at that level and spend $100 or whatever for that particular day. And, you know, that's the best way to go, instead of like, you know, because as a parent, some parent may think, well, I get the best bang for my buck and I could pay $500 and to be 20 schools there at the showcase. You know what I'm saying? But you're saying, you know, not the kind of, you know, I feel like I know the answer to this, but I want to hear from you, you know?
The biggest thing for me is some of the, you know, I'm not saying I interact with every single kid that comes to our camp. But, you know, at the end of the day, the parents, the kids get to be on campus. They get to play on that field. They get to at least listen to the coaches, have a feel of what they're about. Even if it's a showcase environment, there's not a ton of instruction that we do. We do some just to really, at the end of the day, satisfy compliance, you know, rules that we've got to make sure that we cover. But we want to see guys play. We want to see guys showcase. We'll have those conversations with kids that we have some interest in. But just that dialogue, and your son is going to be able to have at least a little feel of, they might walk away and go, you know what, Coach Allen, I don't like his vibe. Like, there's just something about it. I don't like him. Hey, you can cross that school off and move on. Where if you go to some of these other places, you have school XYZ, ABCD showing up, and your son might not know anything about them, which isn't a bad thing because, hey, you might end up there. But to me, I would start with your list. Hey, pick out 4 to 5, go to those camps. If it's not progressing, then maybe it'll open it up a little more to a broader stage.
All right.
The one thing too I'll say on that is, if you have interest, number one, you've got to kind of be realistic, I would say, to where your son can play. I have a feeling that every kid, if he wants to play college baseball, you can play college baseball. There's all kinds of levels. There's Division III junior college all the way through, you know, Power 5 Division I baseball. Somewhere in there, somebody fits, you know. It's just, you just got to be realistic. But, you know, there's multiple times that, you know, we're at a school that can recruit nationally. For the most part, we're probably 90% in-state, maybe 85% in-state kids. But those out-of-state or even in-state kids, like, if your dream is to go to the University of Texas, you're being recruited, or your dreams to go to South Carolina and you're being recruited by Texas and TCU and all, send those coaches emails, because a lot of times, like, a kid will go to a California kid. They've always had, you know, Texas has always had a good relationship with California for whatever reason. A lot of kids want to come this way, especially when Augie was here. They had a great relationship with California kids. Well, we'll get it. Well, this kid's going to USC, but his number one was Texas. Well, there's a lot of kids across the country that we try to keep up with. We can't keep up with them all, you know. So send those emails. Be brief. Put a video in there. You don't got to send me this long, you know, this page that I got to read 70 words to try to get through. Hey, I have interest, coach. Here's my stats of height, weight, my class year, put a video on there and go. And we might not respond, but at least if there's some interest in there, we know it, we look up, we start doing our research on them, then at least we know that kid does have interest. Because there's a lot of times that we don't realize that really good players were in their top 2 or 3, and they just, I guess for whatever reason, they don't want to let that out, or they just feel like we'll find you, which isn't the case, especially if you're a national type kid.
Nice. Good information right there. So Christopher Gunter wants to ask, in your opinion, is the recruitment pool saturated? Meaning, is it easier or harder for you to get quality players today in comparison to what you could find, let's say 10 years ago?
That's a good question. I would say it's easier to sign players nowadays. To get the right players, it's definitely much more difficult. Like I said earlier, we don't have the time to talk to the high school coach. Many of the kids that we're recruiting, as dumb as this sounds, haven't played a varsity baseball game.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right.
But that's where we're at.
Wow.
So you call the high school coach, to me, summer ball guys, they 100%, they know the guys. Most of them are better. I don't want to say better, but they're good baseball people. They know the game. They can give you that. The thing that the high school coach can kind of give you that the summer guys don't is, how do they act when they're walking down the halls and with kids their own age? Are they immature? Are they, they kind of can see that, to where summer ball guys usually have their parents on road trips with them, so they have somebody watch them, and they're off, doing their own thing at night as well. So that's where the high school coach for us kind of comes in. Coach Pierce was a high school coach. We try to call it the high school coaches on every kid that we recruit. I'm not saying we do it on 100%, because sometimes there might just not be a relationship there. But they know academically a little bit better on how they work. Is it hard for them? Is it come easy for them academically? But to get the right kid for your program, yes. Here's the other thing on that is, I don't know what I need in this. If I'm going to offer a 2022 right now, do I really know what I need as a recruiting coordinator in that class? Say we can sign 10 kids. Well, okay, the pitchers are easy. Go offer the four or five best arms in the state of Texas at that age or across the country. You get 1, you get 2, great. Then you can kind of piece the class together. But like, we signed 17, I think, in the 2018 group. We signed 15 in 2019. We're going to sign like 6 in 2020, just because we don't have the funds available to sign more. Plus, our needs were pretty specific. We knew it was going to be a smaller class. We went after high-end players that hopefully could do 2 things. We've got, I think, 4 two-way guys in that class, maybe 5 two-way guys in that class. That, are they all going to end up being two-way guys when they show up to school? We'll see. But if we can get 3 of them to do it, then that's, 2 players for 1. So I think it's easier to sign players because parents and kids are ready to say yes when they get an offer. On the flip side of it, it doesn't mean it's the right fit for the university or the kid, because think about this. Kids are committing to universities right now without ever going and sitting down in front of a coaching staff.
It's crazy.
No, and it's happening every single day all across the country.
I talked about it here. That's been my ongoing thing with you big schools. You know what I'm saying? I've been getting hard. I've been going hard on you guys, not just bashing, because I don't. You and I come from a different era. It was like, it could be dream school wise and all of that. But as soon as University of Texas or whoever offered me something, I don't even necessarily know the coach. I don't know whatever. But because it's Texas and whatever, I don't even know if it's fit for me. And I'm saying yes. And I'm locked down. I shut down my recruiting ASAP. You know what I'm saying? I don't get that.
Well, that's why you're seeing there's a lot more decommitments, and I think it's both ways. Kids will decommit, the staff will decommit the kids. I don't really think anybody, if you truly ask a college coach, do they really think this is the right way to do it? I don't think they would, but it's what it is. If you don't, at a place like Texas, if you don't stay up with, the rest of the country on when guys are offering and all that, I'm not saying you can't find the late bloomer because every single kid's recruiting process is going to happen at a different time. Your very best friend might commit as a freshman, okay? Well, you're panicking. You're like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You might sign at our first spring. After our first spring, we had 12 guys drafted off our team and signed.
Wow.
We thought 6 of them would draft and sign. We had 12. So guess what we were doing?
Trying to pick up guys late, huh?
Right. We signed 4 kids in the summer, right before, after they were seniors. We signed 4 high school kids after the draft, late as could be. You know, all 4 of them were going to junior colleges, got in there. They all came in and helped us, and 3 of them are going to be really, really good players for us. So recruiting happens at different times with every single situation. So don't panic. Sometimes major universities have the most money they're ever going to have after the draft of that year, you know, and it happens. I mean, every school for the most part is searching for one player after the draft. Sometimes not. Last year we didn't have any money really come available. The first year we had almost 3 scholarships available, you know, so we're scrambling to find guys. So it happens at different times.
All right. Awesome information. All right. So Bubba from Alabama asks, keep going off. Bubba asks from Alabama, grade level, what velo should a pitcher be throwing at, you know, 8th grade or 9th grade and, you know, around 8th or 9th grade? What kind of velo, you know, should he be throwing it?
It's hard to really say. Each guy develops at different times. You know, I think that's why the recruiting process happens at different times. I'll tell you this, Jordan Hicks, we signed him at Tulane University, had him committed at Sam Houston State. He showed up as I'm sure, you know, the young guys right now know who he is. He throws the hardest fastball in Major League Baseball right now, I believe. If not, it's up there. He averages 100, 102 miles an hour. When he was a freshman, he showed up to a camp at Sam Houston State. He was a 5'5" right-handed pitcher.
Really?
I mean, just a camper. Like, he showed up, had enough. We're like, okay, great. You know, we just went through our pitching stuff with him. The next year as a sophomore, he shows up. He's 6 foot tall. The arm really works, but he's 80, 82 at that time as a sophomore. Another year goes by, shows up. He's 84, 87, probably right in there, 84, 86. And we're all sitting there going, hey, this guy's going to throw really hard one day.
Right.
Just by how the arm works, you know. So we committed him to Sam Houston. We ended up changing jobs, went to Tulane University, signed him there. The spring of his senior season, he literally went from 87 to 90 to, you know, topping out 97, 96, and obviously signed, I believe it was a 4th-round pick. You know, and then the vetoes kept climbing. So it's hard to say. You know, I think there is a fine line there. There's got to be at least, to me, what I look for more than velo is how the arm works. If the arm's clean, the delivery's clean, a guy can pitch. I honestly really like the kids that when they're young, they don't have the velocity because they don't know how to pitch. They have velocity so they can outstuff guys at a young age and just throw it by them. And then they have to learn to pitch. To me, the ones that are really good are the ones that learn how to pitch or fastball changeup guys at a young age that develop the curveball, that can pitch backwards, that can do all that. Then the stuff comes, and now you got the whole package. You know, now a guy knows how to pitch, he knows how to set hitters up, he can get them out, and he's, you know, 90, 94. You know, the average fastball in college baseball, I mean, is probably, when I played, if a guy touched 91, it was like, and this could be some radar gun stuff too, which, you know, we'll talk. I mean, that's another story, another day. But that guy threw hard. I mean, I faced Mark Pryor 2 times when he was a college pitcher. He threw really hard, and they said he topped out at 94.
Right.
Now, I mean, nowadays our weekend rotations that we face, right-handers they're going to pitch 90, 94, touch 95. Every single one of them. You know, it's kind of the stock guy. The stock right-handers now are 90, 92, touching 94. That's kind of stock in college baseball. Obviously, there's some that don't pitch that hard and all that. But for the most part, it's, you know, 90, 93, that's a stock guy, where 10 years ago it was 88 was the number. You know, you touch the 90, oh, wow, that's good. Now it's you start touching some 94s, and that's a pretty good number. So Don't worry about velocity. Clean up the arm action. Make sure everything's right mechanically. Learn how to pitch, and then, we'll see from a velocity standpoint. We've offered several guys at a young age that were 80, 83, but we knew the stuff was coming because of clean arm. They could pitch. The makeup was right. TrackMan data really helps us with those young guys. If you're 80, 83 and can really spin the ball, that velo is going to jump. If your extension's really good at that age and your fastball is playing up, well, then I don't need that guy to get to 94. I need him to get to 90 where his fastball is going to play 94. So that's why, we really like pitchers to come to our camps because we can figure some of that out with those young players.
Nice. Good. Yeah. All right. So I got, does each school have a process by which a kid can walk on, or is it a closed process once a roster is full?
Each school's different. I will say this, most schools, a walk-on is extremely important. Most universities get 8 walk-ons. If that's something where financially, academically, it makes sense to you, send those emails, get in there, because walk-ons for us at University of Texas are gold. I mean, if I can find one that can really play, have a chance to help us on the field, and is truly a walk-on, that guy's very, very, very important. So just, you got to reach out and do it. A walk-on process, typically, I would say in most places all across the country, there's a difference between the invited walk-on and then the general population student that's already in school that's going to come out for walk-on tryouts. That's not a real high percentage chance of you making the team. Over my 16 years, less than 5 that have truly made the team probably. I had one at FIU that out of nowhere showed up, and he ended up being one of our best relievers. But he was kind of a trick guy. Was was an over-the-top 87 guy. I said, hey, man, try throwing it from down here, and it ended up being pretty good. So, but for the most part, those guys are going to be limited on how they make it. If you're an invited walk-on guy, when the process starts early enough, then those guys are gold.
All right. Good information there. Marcus from Texas, he was late coming on, but he says, how do you get your kid on the radar for big schools like Texas?
Again, camps are big. I think having high school coach, if your high school coach, summer league coach can really, if they're being honest with you and they go, hey, yeah, you have a chance to play, I don't want this to sound arrogant, but a chance to play, you have a chance to play at a Texas A&M, a TCU, a place like that, and they can go, hey, yes, I'll make that phone call, have those people reach out. Because a lot of times I get 30 emails a day from kids, and we do look at them, but a lot of times they go in the camp file and we send out camp information to them. That's what happens. I'll look at some of the videos. I'll look at it for 5 seconds and move on, or I'll look at it for the entire video, depending on what I see. But those college recommendations, those coaches' recommendations are probably the number one easiest way to do it. If they go, hey, let's hold on and we're not quite ready for that, hey, that's why they're there. They're being honest with you, and you got to keep grinding out and getting better to reach that level. And who knows what happens. But I'd say high school and summer league coaches' recommendations is the best way to do it. Nice.
All right. The Mark Woods from Indiana asks, what are some of the tools, training techniques recommended for young pitchers? And he said, there's a million out here. He's interested to know what you guys use pitching-wise.
Again, it's individual based, so what I would do with a young player is definitely going to be a lot different than what I would do with a college age guy, whether it's pitching, hitting, infield, maybe not. But, to me, if you're going to, as a pitcher, you've got to fix arm action young. It's hard to change a guy's arm action when they start becoming a freshman through junior. Just think about how many times you've thrown a baseball in your lifetime. It's muscle memory and it's hard to fix, so just clean up that arm action, get with somebody, whether it's a private instructor, high school coach, a summer league guy, like make sure that arm is doing what we want. There's a whole weighted ball stuff. There's 1,000 things out there. We don't force guys to do one thing or another. We have a throwing program that we go through. We're not fixing arm actions at University of Texas for the most part. For the most part, we're recruiting guys that have the arm that we want. They have good arms. We've got to individually make that guy better. So we've got a guy that's 6'8", and he's got arms as tall as I am. And then we got a guy that's 5'9". They both, the 5'9" guy, he's got really short arms, is up to 97, can really spin it. The 6'8" guy, they're just different. So how am I going to teach those two guys the exact same thing? There's no cookie cut way to do it, but at a young age, mechanically, get it right, fix arm action. That's the number one thing.
Nah, great. All right. So that's pretty much the questions that came in, Coach. What I would like to do, if you could right now, if you can, just kind of give an overview of your, the camps and clinics that you got coming up. So my listeners and for the people that's going to listen on the replay, so they have that information out there. I know they can always go on the website, but it's always good to hear from you, Coach.
We have a winter showcase camp that is mid-January. That's going to be, the recruiting type stuff where it's showcase environment. We will do live games as the first January camp that we've ever done it, but we feel like it's a little later this year. Guys are going to be ready. We typically don't do it because Coach Pierce think, it's kind of hypocritical that our guys aren't ready to throw yet. And we expect the high school guys to be ready. He's never done it, but this year's a little later. So if guys are ready, we're going to let them throw to probably 3 hitters just so we can keep the pitch count down. We'll get some live ABs, but it's a, pro style combine, 1-day deal, kind of get in, get out. Good event. We'll also have an instructional camp that we'll do pitching, hitting with little guys, 7 to 12th graders, and 13 to high school age kids. That it's instruction. That's the one thing I want to, back in the day when there was camps, it was all instruction. You went out and learned what the college taught. You went home and implement it, try to get better. Nowadays, all kids want to do is play, go to these showcase environments. And I get it from a parent standpoint because, we all want kids to get to college and get those scholarships or those roster spots and move on. But, it's kind of a tune-up to getting into spring ball. So I think the website, I don't do a ton of stuff with the camps, but I think it's longhornbaseballcamps.com. You can obviously go to UT Sports and pull it up from the baseball side as well. But there's, I think, 4 different dates in the wintertime to either come out and get some instruction and or do the showcase environment. The high school aged instruction, to me, is a great way to get on the map from a recruiting standpoint as well. Because, again, we get to instruct and really get to know the kid. Hey, let's make this adjustment. Let's tweak this. Hey, let's try to fix your breaking ball a little bit. And how adapt are they to do that? That guys that can make fast adjustments, as you know, D, it's big in baseball. And to me, that's how we kind of separate. We're going to recruit really good players. Mm-hmm. What separates you from the other? That's where we try to honestly take an educated guess on the right ones versus the wrong ones, so to speak. So,
I get it. Quick adjustments. I'll let you know how he's going to translate it on the field too. So I definitely get that, man. Coach, this is greatly appreciated. I know it's kind of last minute, and Vin, I appreciate Vinny for putting you on, and it's nice to connect with you, and for the future. Hey, who knows what happens with players wise? I know you guys are deep in with talent in Texas, but hey, who knows, right? So It's a great connection. It's good to meet you, brother. I appreciate you coming on. It's all love right here. I know my parents, they're saying thank you for basically coming on and explaining a good amount of things and stuff that I didn't know, especially with the private school stuff and the difference over there. And you can't get no bigger than Texas, man. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you coming on, man. No doubt about it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. If you got parents out there got questions, if you want to get it out there, D, just send me an email and I'll do my best I can to answer those. Because at the end of the day, I think all college coaches want to educate, what the real recruiting process is, and each one's a little different at each school. But at the end of the day, it's I know we're not trying to hide anything on trying to trick people, and there's a lot of places that do it, but it's a hard process. Most parents only go through it one time, so definitely ask the questions. There's no dumb question, because you only get to do it one time, and hopefully if you do it right, that kid's going to fall in love with it, the university of his choice, and have the greatest 4 years. That's the biggest thing. Whether it's 3 or 4 years, I know for me, it's by far the best 4 years of my playing days, and no matter where I've been from a coaching standpoint. So I appreciate you having me on, and hook 'em.
That's right. All right. So guys, parents, tomorrow we got my boy Kelsey Melker coming on. He's the Oakland A's scout. We're going to shift a little bit. We've been talking to all the great college coaches like Coach Allen here, but we're going to put a little shift to it, and we're going to go on to the pro side a little bit. So we are going just a little shift, and then Thursday go back to college, and then Friday going back to the majors. My boy old dog Orlando Hudson coming on. So guys, greatly appreciate you guys coming on again. Tomorrow we'll be back at 3 o'clock. We're going to start switching on to the pro side, how he evaluates kids on the amateur side, sitting down, questionnaires, what does he look for a high school kid, a college kid, and we just dig a little deeper, all right? We're just kind of keeping that knowledge going, all right? Appreciate you guys coming on board. I'm going to say have a great rest of your day. Peace and love. I'll see you guys tomorrow.